Welcome back for chapter 15 of Stargirl. She gave everyone in car to school. That was my first thought. When I saw Kevin at school, I was about to ask him, but I pulled back. I waited until lunch. I tried to be casual. I slipped it in with the only thing that mattered that day. The school was in mourning, the game, the loss, the tomato. Oh yeah, incidentally, speaking of Stargirl, did you happen to get a card? He looked at me funny. She gave them to her homeroom, I heard. Yeah, I said, that's what I heard too. But was that all? She didn't give them to everybody else? He shrugged. Not to me. Why? Do you get one? He was looking across the lunchroom, biting into his sandwich, yet I felt he was grilling me. I shook my head. No, I was just wondering. Actually, I was sitting on the card. It was in the back pocket of my jeans. Meanwhile, all the eyes in the lunchroom were on Stargirl. I think we half expected to see traces of red still clinging to her face. She sat at her usual table with Dory Dilson and several other friends. She seemed subdued. She did not play her ukulele. She did not play with her rat. She just ate and talked with the other girls at her table. As the lunch period was ending, she got up but did not head straight for the exit. Instead, she detoured in the direction of my table. I panicked. I jumped up, grabbed my stuff, blurted, "Gotta go!" left Kevin with his mouth hanging open, and took off. Not fast enough. Halfway to the door, I heard her behind me. "Hi, Leo." My face got warm. I was sure everyone's eyes turned to me. I was sure they could all see my card in my pocket. I was pretending to look at the clock. I pretended I was late for something. I ran from the lunchroom. I lurked in the shadow for the rest of the day. I went straight home after school. I stayed in my room. I came out only for dinner. I told my parents I had a project to do. I paced. I lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling. I stared at the window. I laid the card on my study desk. I picked it up. I read it. I read it. I read it. I played Hi Leo over and over in my head. I tossed darts at the corkboard and on the back of my door. My father called in, "What's your project, darts?" I went out. I drove around in the pickup. I drove down her street. At the last intersection before her house, I turned off. For hours, I lay under my sheet of moonlight. Her voice came in through the night, from the light, from the stars. Hi, Leo. In the morning, it was a Saturday, Kevin and I went together to Archie's for the weekly meeting of the Loyal Order of the Stone Bone. There was about 15 of us. We wore our fossil necklaces. Archie wanted to discuss the Eocene skull he was holding, but all the others could talk about was the game. When they told Archie about the tomato, his eyebrows went up, but other than that, his face did not change. I thought, this is not news to him, he already knew. Archie spent the whole session that way, nodding and smiling and raising his eyebrows. We dumped our disappointment on him, the devastation of the loss. He said very little. When it was over, he looked down at the skull in his lap and patted it and said, "Well, this fellow here lost his game too. He was winning for 10 million years or so, but then the early grasses started growing up around him, and he found himself in a different league. He hung in there well as he could. He scored his points, but kept falling farther and farther behind. The opposition was better, quicker, keener. In the championship game, our boy got annihilated. Not only didn't he show up for class the next day, he never showed up, period. They never saw him again." Archie lifted the snouted, fox-faced skull until it was side by side with his own face. A good minute passed as he said nothing, inviting us all into our own thoughts. Faces stared at faces staring at faces, staring at faces. Tens of millions of years of faces in a living room in a place called Arizona.